That whenever there's a, footage of the Nuremberg rallies with Hitler standing on that podium over there, usually someone has decided to play Wagner in the background. But you have theories that actually Wagner is more deeply embedded in the modern Nazi Nuremberg.
Yes, I think so. First of all, when you take all these party rallies that we had here, in the evening then there was a Festaufführung, a celebration of the Meistersingers of Nuremberg.
Right, one of Wagner's truly great operas.
Yes.
And they played that and then came here, didn't they, to this enormous, what was then, there were how many soldiers would be here?
I'm sure more than 100,000.
More than 100,000.
Yeah, from all over Germany, they gathered here.
And the party faithful would have listened to the Meistersingers first.
In the evening they listened to the Meistersingers, and the next day...
Here.
Yes, and they played it themselves. Hitler loved the Meistersinger. He loved to whistle the tunes to his guest. He could whistle all the tunes of the Meistersinger.
Oh, God.
Yes, he liked that. There's a certain scene that triggered in him, I think, that whole rally idea.
Yeah.
It was the third act. There you have all the guilds of Nuremberg marching onto the stage, and you have like costumed masses carrying flags and their guild signs and symbols, and they're singing together. It's a wonderful scene, but it's definitely a political manifestation. And this is on the small stage of the opera, and then transferred or even translated into reality in this huge field here in Nuremberg.
So they perverted the style of Wagner, if you like, the emotional impact of the music and the grandeur and the spectacle, which does have an enormous effect on audiences who love Wagner. You do get turned into a jelly by the end of the evening.
Yes.
It's so extreme.
Yes. That was the first step. The second was that he thought one could teach the Germans to see the world in a way which you find in Wagner operas, in a dialectical way, that you have a protagonist and an antagonist, that you have a good and an evil, that you have like a Iago and a Desdemona, or in the Wagner case, it is Siegfried and the dragon. Now, if you have this in the opera, it is perfectly all right, because the opera needs the tension of drama between the good and the evil. But as soon as you turn it into reality, it becomes a devastating political fantasy and ideology.
Of course, a defender of Wagner like me, although I'm not a complete defender of Wagner, would say Hitler saw one side of Wagner, and we tend to see Hitler's side of Wagner. Because Hitler was such a huge figure in the 20th century, and because his taste for Wagner was so enormous, we tend to say, what did Hitler see in Wagner? And we look through Hitler's viewfinder at this enormous man and see one little area like that, instead of seeing the whole thing.
If Joachim's right, that makes Nuremberg the sinister descendant of Ludwig's castle Neuschwanstein, a monstrous example of the way Wagner's music inspires some men to tear down the boundary which ought to separate fantasy from fact.
The railing there surrounds on three sides the area known as the Führer's Kanzel, the Führer's podium, and that's where Hitler stood. And that's where tourists to this day stand. Others like me can't actually bring themselves to go there. I'm not being oversensitive, I don't think. I just don't like, it's in the same way I'm not very good at picking up guns. I can do it occasionally, but I don't think I want to put myself in that position. And I don't want to hedge around here. I am deeply uncomfortable in Nuremberg talking about Wagner. I realize how close to the Nazi fantasy world Wagner was, and how deeply stitched into Hitler's vision of the world. It's very difficult. I have to keep reminding myself, and I do it best by simply listening to the music, how unbelievably complicated, ambiguous, emotionally honest, raw, revolutionary, anti-fascist Wagner truly is. I suppose I think of it like this. Imagine a great, beautiful silk tapestry of infinite colour and complexity that has been stained indelibly. It's still a beautiful tapestry, of miraculous workmanship and gorgeous colour and silken texture. But that stain is real, and I'm afraid Hitler and Nazism have stained Wagner. For some people, that stain ruins the whole